I like being wrong about as much as the next guy, which is not very much. I like to think that I'm super smart and I have all the answers. I definitely know that I don't, but I like to think that I do, and so that's why it's taken me a little bit to make this video. This is addressing one of the things that I got wrong making some of my early videos, and it's actually something that I got wrong in my own form for a long time. So the idea is a perfectly straight pull. A lot of times in my older videos, I would say that you want to reach way behind you and pull on a perfectly straight line from the peak of your reach back all the way through to your release point. That should be just a dead straight, like a string pulled tight, just a dead straight line the whole way. And I don't necessarily think that's true. But this is something that has kind of pervaded a lot of disc golf advice throughout the years. So where that started is I started learning how to throw with the Beto right pec drill. I don't know if you have seen this video, but in this drill, you start with the disc on your right pec, and then you just yeet it. And then you turn back a little bit and you yeet it. And that's how you learn how to throw. And what this does really well is it discourages rounding. It does a really good job of stopping people from rotating in front of the disc and getting the disc behind them to where they're not using their elbow at all. It teaches you how to do that. But as a drill to learn the basics of throwing, I think it put me on kind of the wrong track. Kind of the same thing happens if you learned how to throw using it's just like starting a lawnmower mental note, because a lawnmower is a big muscly motion. Well, for me it is. It's pretty hard for me to start a lawnmower. But anyway, at least the one that I used to use. Starting a lawnmower is pull it as fast as you can. And when you're doing that, your body isn't rotating, you're not getting a lot of power from your lower body. It's mainly just basically a row, a one-armed row out to the release point. And that's not at all how throwing a disc works. You can actually see this in a lot of my form checks throughout the years. If you go through my channel and see a lot of, you'll notice that a lot of times my hand is on the front of the disc. The disc is up too high in the reach back, and I'm pulling the disc laterally across my chest rather than locking my shoulder and leveraging my elbow correctly. So real quick, I'll go into what's supposed to happen. I still think a straight pull is a good mental note to avoid rounding. I think it's a good thing to try and teach people, because a straight pull starts straight, where you pull the disc into your chest, right? If I'm throwing say I'm throwing directly at my disc golf bag, right? The pull starts pulling the disc straight into your chest. I'm gonna move this table before I knock it over. Anyway, so the pull starts with a straight pull into your chest. But then from here, your shoulder should stay locked pretty much the whole time. Your release point is actually going to be a little bit off to the left, because that's a lot faster than going straight through. I can lock my shoulder and still have a straight pull, but what ends up happening is it takes a lot longer for me to rotate, and that means it's not moving as fast, and it means it's not going as far. So the next logical question I would think would be, well, where does the power come? If you're using less muscles in your upper body to throw, right? You're just using your tricep rather than your tricep and your shoulder and your back and everything, then where's the power going to come from? And the answer is your lower body. See, when I was pulling straight, that's when I would tend to run really, really fast, and I would try and reach really far back, and I would try and pull the disc as hard as I could, and I wasn't rotating as efficiently. But when I learned to stay a little bit more over my toes, try and rotate a little bit more efficiently, then I noticed a lot more power coming from my lower body, and that ended up in a lot more consistent flight. Another thing that I used to teach was to reach really, really far back. And I think that came from that mentality of trying to pull the disc as straight as possible, and the longer distance that I had to pull it, the farther it would go, naturally. But I think players like Seppo Paiu, Chris Clemens have demonstrated you don't really need to reach that far back. I still think reaching back is important, because just starting with the disc in front of you isn't nearly as powerful as reaching it back. But I think leaning especially is bad, but reaching too far is not necessarily good. So what I've started to teach now is just to rotate your shoulders about 90 degrees away from the target. Well, I guess 90 degrees from where they were, or 180 degrees away from the target, and just straighten your arm. That doesn't necessarily need to be straight away from the target. It probably will be, but a little bit to the right is fine. That tends to be more of the wide rail style. But if you just rotate your shoulders and extend the disc behind you, that helps you stay a lot more upright. And what happens when you reach way back and you lean way over is you end up leaning backwards as you reach back and then leaning forwards as you throw, and that adds this side to side motion as you're trying to rotate, and that slows everything down. Whereas if you stay vertical and you rotate your shoulders back and then rotate through to the release point, you end up with a lot more power. So those are some things that I have learned over the years, I guess. Wow, I have been doing this for years. I just thought I would make a quick video to share those. Straight pull is good mentally, but not necessarily literally. Reaching back far is, again, good mentally, because you do, I think that to throw a full power shot, you have to take your eyes off the target. There are people who would disagree with me. I don't necessarily disagree with those people. I just think trying to keep your head forward while reaching back tends to make you sort of start your shoulder on this closed angle, and I think it makes it easier to round, but I don't necessarily think it's impossible to throw correctly with your eye on the target. I just think it's a lot harder. But yeah, okay, I think that's enough rambling. All right, so I think that's it for this video. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Let me know any advice that you got early on that helped you for a little bit but ended up hurting you in the long run. And come hang out on Twitch if you want to watch me be mediocre to bad at video games and talk a lot of disc golf. Well, I'll see you around. Thanks for watching, and always remember, slow is smooth and smooth is far.